I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. We've got a lot to get to, but we begin with big breaking news. This news coming to us out of Arizona, and it involves Lori Vallow Daybell, the so-called Doomsday Mom. There she is in this photo next to husband number 4, Charles Vallow. Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Lori's brother back in 2019, back in July of 2019. But today, Lori Vallow indicted for the murder of her husband, Charles. Let's take a look at that indictment from Maricopa County out in Arizona, the same county that convicted and prosecuted Jodi Arias. Lori Vallow, on or about July 11, 2019, with the intent to promote or aid the commission of an offense, to wit, first-degree murder, agreed with Alexander Cox, that's her brother, that at least one of them or another would engage in conduct constituting the offense of first-degree murder. Lori Vallow Daybell now facing murder charges for 3 different people in 2 different states, her children and her husband. Unbelievable. For those of you not familiar with what happened 2 years ago in Chandler, Arizona, Ted Rowlands has the story.
Brother-in-law visiting from Houston.
This is dash cam video from the Chandler Police Department obtained by Court TV. Officers are responding to the call that Lori Vallow's husband, Charles, has just been shot by her brother, Alex Cox.
You have the subject on the phone step out of the residence with his hands empty.
2 officers are waiting for Alex Cox with guns drawn as he walks out of the house.
Coming out this way, man. You know, no weapons?
No weapons on me.
All right, come on out this way.
Yep.
I'm going to have you have a seat right here on the curb.
Yep.
Who else is in the house?
No one else is in the house.
Okay, just have a seat right there. Yeah. Let's get FD in here.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
18 seat secure. We got the gentleman out. Have fire rolling.
One officer goes into the house. The other asks Alex what happened.
What happened today? How did it get to this?
I don't know. He was enraged.
What's going on? What happened?
Oh, he was talking with my sister earlier.
No, what happened today, though? Like, just in the last 20 minutes.
He came at me with a bat.
At first, Alex doesn't seem to have a clear response as to what happened.
What was he accusing you of?
He was just yelling at me. I just went back to the living room. I'm like, what is your problem?
With the gun in your hand?
Yes. And I said, I want you to put that bat down. And he wouldn't do it. And he's like, and he came at me with the bat again after he'd already hit me in the head. So I shot him to stop him.
Okay, and then what happened?
That was it.
The officer in the house encounters the body of Charles Vallow in the front room, lying on the floor. Next to the body is the baseball bat that Alex claims Charles used to hit him. After checking his pulse, the officer clears the house as the fire department arrives to pronounce him dead.
This guy's last name is Vallow, V-A-L-L-O.
Meanwhile, outside, Lori and Tylee arrive.
Does your husband live here or no?
No, he lives in Houston.
Gotcha.
We just moved in here.
Gotcha. How long have you guys lived here?
I'm sorry?
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors don't know us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi, neighbor, sorry.
Are you working at all?
No.
Okay. And you're still about 5'6", 120?
The officer then gets some personal information from Tylee.
Blonde, too. You guys, I'm list you as a blonde young lady here. And then blue eyes?
Yeah.
You have very blue eyes. That's not under debate.
The officer finally goes to debrief detectives that have just arrived on scene.
Wife, husband got into a verbal argument. Brother steps in and says, just get out. At some point, the niece grabs the bat and is poking her dad. Dad takes the bat away. They decide to leave. Everyone leaves. There's a son, too, a younger son. Her son, he's not here either. So wife who lives here, her daughter, her son, they all leave. Her brother staying here, visiting, and the husband. They get into it. He's like, he says they got into an argument. Husband hit him in the head with a bat. The bat's right next to the brother says, That goes to his room, grabs his gun, his own gun, goes back out, doesn't stay in the room, doesn't lock the door, doesn't call us, but goes back out, confronts him, says, drop the bat. The guy doesn't drop the bat. He says he shoots him. Goes back into his room, puts his gun away, grabs his phone, cleans his head up, calls 911.
Unbelievable development. More murder charges against Lori Vallow now in another state. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter. Chanley, big breaking news today, all of this happening. And throughout our coverage of this story, we've been talking about the bodies piling up, but now the murder charges are piling up. For everyone who's watching tonight, and can you break down who's died, when they died, in order, and what charges Lori is facing for all these dead people now?
Absolutely. May take a little bit of time of your show here, Vinny, because this starts again with Charles Vallow. That's July 11th, 2019. Charged now conspiracy to commit murder of Charles Vallow. Then we also know that her children disappeared, but not, they died in September and November of 2019. She's been charged with first-degree murder for Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, also conspiracy to commit their murder. Then Tammy Daybell passed away in October of 2019. She's recently been indicted for conspiracy to commit murder of Chad Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell. So there are a total of 4 people that she's charged with murdering or conspiring to murder Vinny in 2 different states, the state of Idaho, the state of Arizona. Of course, she still has pending conspiracy to commit destruction of evidence charges in Fremont County, as well as those misdemeanors that started this all almost 2 years ago.
Okay, so now what's the status of Lori Daybell now? She doesn't use the Vallow name anymore, but what's the status of Lori Daybell in terms of what's going on? Because she at one point was deemed not competent in Idaho.
Exactly. A judge recently issued an order deeming her not fit to stand trial. This is after he issued an order back in March for a psychological assessment. An evaluator determined that she's not competent and recommended restorative treatment for Lori Daybell. The prosecution there in East Idaho initially objected to that finding of incompetency, but then withdrew that objection after it had its own expert review the documents and the materials. Now she's been committed to a facility. An order the judge put down just a couple of weeks ago to commit her to the Department of Health there in the state of Idaho for treatment for a period not to exceed 90 days. If she isn't restored, her competency is not restored during that time period, Vinny, that would mean she would continue to be held at a facility for another 180 days. And again, this would go on and on until she is competent to stand trial, because this doesn't mean that her trial goes away in Idaho. It will one day happen if she does regain her competency.
Okay, so in the meantime, there's 2 other people who died associated with all this with no charges. And that would be, right, her brother and another one of her former husbands?
That's correct. Her brother, Alex Cox, he passed away of what was deemed natural causes. This is on December 12th of 2019, and why he is not charged in any of these criminal acts. He's a co-conspirator. He's named in all of the indictments for the murders of those people. He passed away, interesting, Vinny, the day after Tammy Daybell's body was exhumed for an autopsy. A lot of people found that a suspicious timing for his passing, but ultimately a medical examiner saying he passed away of a blood clot to his lung, natural causes. Lori Vallow has also been under suspicion for the death of her 3rd husband, Joseph Ryan. You see right there on the screen. He passed away suddenly without warning. That was also deemed natural causes. Again, that is about 6 months before she moved to, in 2019, before she moved to Idaho.
And this, I know, is just happening. Have we heard any reaction from anyone, whether it's attorneys for Lori Daybell or family members of Charles Vallow? Have we heard from anyone yet?
Only the prosecutor's office there in Maricopa County, Arizona, issuing a news release talking about the intense investigation that went into, like you said, 2 years, since almost 2 years to the date that Charles Vallow was shot to death. The police department always thinking that Lori Vallow was a person of interest, not fully believing the story that Alex Cox gave about shooting his brother-in-law in self-defense. They have issued statements all along this process, going through hundreds of thousands of pieces of evidence, digital transcripts, subpoenas, witness statements to finally come to this. So that office there, prosecutor's office, has been commending their investigators to finally reach this point where a grand jury would indict Lori Vallow.
All right, stand by. We're going to bring in our think tank right now to get some more perspective on all this. Joining us tonight in Seattle, Washington, trial attorney Ann Bremner, and in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, federal prosecutor Michael Sterling is also with us. Great to have you both here. Ann, let me start with you first. She's implicated in 4 murders in 2 states over the course of many, many months here. Can we call her an alleged serial killer at this point?
Great minds think alike. That's what I was just thinking. She's a serial killer, and she's in a county without pity in Maricopa County that didn't, where we had at least one defendant, Jodi Arias, who shall remain nameless in some ways. She didn't fare very well, though she escaped death. But yeah, we could call her a serial killer. She's done it in a series, and she's killed quite a few people, at least if we believe the indictments and the charges.
Michael Sterling, we've been covering the story for quite some time, and we had many discussions talking about it would always come down to why hasn't she been charged. Now finally all the pieces are coming together, but she is now no longer together. She's been deemed not competent to stand trial. What are your thoughts about her ever getting in a courtroom to face charges in Idaho and in Arizona?
Yeah, Benny, we're just going to have to sort of wait and see. We don't know what kind of treatment she's receiving in the facility that she's in, and whether or not that treatment is going to prove to be effective to get her back to competency. We do know that she at least knows how to be deemed incompetent now, so perhaps she could continue to play a part of incompetence in order to keep her trial continuously delayed. But we don't know, Benny. I mean, and that is a part of our justice system. We do not put people on trial who aren't competent to stand trial, who can't fully understand the nature and circumstances of the charges and the trial, and who cannot assist their attorney. So until she gets to that point, until she's rehabilitated to the point where she can fully grasp what's actually happening in the courtroom, she's not going to have a day in court.
Ann, this entire story has taken years to unravel, and intense investigation by all these different agencies, and now they finally have put all the pieces together, they believe, in order to prove that she is responsible for all these deaths. It's a huge story to tell inside of a courtroom, and it seems to me, if you're trying her for the death of Charles, you've got to bring in everything else. If you're trying her for the murder of the children, you've got to bring in everything else.
Right.
I think any jury should be entitled to hear all the evidence. What are your thoughts, if we ever do get to trial, of what those trials look like and sound like? We just had the Lifetime movie that outlined everything for us over the weekend, right, that we've been reporting for a couple of years here. Does the jury get all that information, or do you think somehow, some way, everything gets narrowed? Because it seems we always seem to narrow what a jury gets to hear inside of a courtroom.
Well, excellent points. I mean, I think look at the Robert Durst trial, for example. We're looking at murders that went back decades. Supposedly with his wife, right, Kathy, when she was in medical school, and then the Galveston murder, where he was acquitted, and now we're hearing about the instance case with Susan Berman. That's a great example to me, really, because I, as a defense lawyer, would be like, that can't all come in. But it did, basically to show his motive for killing Susan Berman and his history. I think in a case like this, it's going to be really tough on a judge to say how much comes in, how much is restricted. We want to protect the rights of the accused, to not be convicted with prejudicial information and stuff that's not relevant. On the other hand, you can't understand this case with understanding all the cases. And that would be the submission from the prosecutor. And I would think that that'll carry the day, because all of these things are intertwined. They can't be really tried separately. Now, of course, we have different jurisdictions, but these same facts, I think, should be presented to a jury, and all the facts should be presented.
Michael Sterling, there was something else in Ted Rowland's piece on the way in, that body cam footage. of Lori, at the moment, Lori Vallow, cool as a cucumber, cracking a joke. Her husband's just been shot and killed inside her house by her brother. I mean, this is unreal. To me, this is incredibly incriminating when you look at demeanor. You know, we always hear like people react to, you know, death differently, yada, yada, yada. Come on. Look at her. Cool, calm, collected, shades on, cracking a little joke with the officer, a little smile. Oh, yeah, by the way, my husband was just shot to death in the house by my brother.
Yeah, Vinny, I agree with you. It's incredibly incriminating, and you know, her poor child there is having to sort of witness her mother's cool, calm demeanor over the fact that her father and Lori's husband at the time was just shot and killed by her brother. It certainly is not going to. It certainly does not look well for Lori Vallow. It certainly looks like there's some very bad intention, some inherent guilt in the fact that, you know, and I'm one of those defense attorneys, Vinny, who take up all the time for the accused, especially when it comes to how people react differently to different circumstances. But just sort of making a joke in this moment, you know, you can understand somebody maybe being mute or not knowing how to be emotional, but cracking a joke and sort of making light of the fact that her husband was just shot and killed. Certainly there's some inherent, you know, implication of guilt that will not play well in front of a jury at all.
Not at all. I want to bring back in Chanley Painter, Court TV legal correspondent. Chanley, the other thing that just brought it back watching that, I mean, Tylee's right there, and I'm wondering if prosecutors will argue that one of the reasons Tylee had to be killed was because she's a witness to the murder of Charles, whether Alex did it or Lori did it or Lori and Alex somehow played a part in it, and that's what motivated her murder.
You have to wonder about that because it seems that was a trend as far as who passed away and when. She was a witness to her stepfather, Charles Vallow's death or murder as it is now, because that's what the story was. She was originally the one who came out of her room with the baseball bat that Charles Vallow allegedly took from her in that altercation. And it's just so heartbreaking to think about what she saw, what she heard, maybe what she knew, and then how she died, Vinny.
Incredibly tragic, but big breaking news today. Once again, folks, out of Maricopa County, Arizona. That's right, the same county where Jodi Arias was tried. Lori Vallow now charged first-degree murder. Chanley Painter, thank you so much for being on top of the breaking news for us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Vinny.